Hello, everyone. Yes, we cannot wait to talk about this movie tonight. So tonight, Tawny and I are talking about the 2018 film, A Quiet Place. But before we do, Tawny, what are you drinking?
I finally got some of those Trulies I've been talking about. So I'm drinking a citrus punch Truly.
Nice.
You can see it's all green there.
Yes.
Very good. What are you drinking?
Water.
Migraines again.
Yeah, I'm drinking some water. And so I got this Cairo Flow pillow you told me about, which is heaven on earth. It literally, my head feels like it's floating. Doesn't feel any pressure at all. It's amazing. But last night I slept on the sofa because TT fell asleep with Steve in the bed. So I went and I fell asleep on the sofa.
Oh.
And in the middle of the night, I did feel like I had some pain in the center of my back. And then when I woke up, my neck hurt, my back hurt, and then that migraine started to brew. So I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go see a chiropractor. Something's out of whack.
Yeah.
And if they could just adjust it and get it back in place. And it all started with me throwing up the life out of me. And I think, because that movement of throwing up on your muscles in your back, I literally think that I strained something and it's
weird,
causing issues. Because remember, for the longest time, I couldn't sleep on my right side because I'd start getting the migraine. So it was something tweaked here in my neck.
In your neck, yeah. Weird.
And it starts to squeeze. So yeah, I'm going to have to make an appointment because I'm over it. It's going on 2 weeks now, right? So
yeah, damn, dude.
I know.
Shout out to that Cairo Flow pillow, though, if you guys are looking for a
good
pillow.
It's so good. I can't even explain it. So at first I got a little motion sickness because I was watching a video. I laid down on it for the first time and I was watching a video and it's kind of moves and I was like, ooh, feel a little nauseated. But not sleeping on it, I don't. So I was watching a video. And it's truly amazing. But I was able to sleep on my right side even though I still have the kink. With that water pillow, I could still sleep on my side.
Sleep. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yeah, there is water for those of you listening not knowing what the fuck we're talking about. There's like a water pouch in the back of it on the bottom that you fill up to your desired firmness, and then on top of that it's like a normal pillow, but
super
it's really
squishy
nice
and soft.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna get another one because I used to have one and then it got really old and I threw it away. But
you need to have it.
Yeah,
Cairo Flow should be our sponsors because I'm obsessed.
Hashtag not sponsored.
You literally don't feel any pressure in your head or neck and shoulders. It's literally like your head is floating.
Yeah. I'm going to do it.
Do it. I think I have like a percentage off. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Have you watched, listened, read anything?
It's been still really busy. I feel like this is week 3 that I'm saying that. And I think I'm going to continue saying that for the next several weeks, probably. Just super busy. And in the midst of all of this, I've decided now that I'm going to try to buy a house.
Yes!
Maybe. So I'm sure everybody listening knows the deal. It's like a crazy market. Everything's way overpriced. People are offering insane higher than, amounts over in cash, right? People are buying up the properties. So that's been a lot. But I will say that on last Saturday, after a crazy week, I was like, I'm going to just take all day to watch shit because that's like my number one hobby. That's how I kind of unwind. That's how I relax. So I watched literally 5 movies all day Saturday. I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm just going to give you the highlights. So I watched Saint Maud, which is a horror movie that is new. And I think it might be worth us watching and talking about. So I don't want to say anything really about it. We watched Mortal Kombat on HBO before it went away, the day that it was supposed to go away. It was all right. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It was
I played the game when I was a kid.
It was equal parts super action movie and also cheesy and weird. was very gory. That part I liked. But it wasn't anything to write home about. And then I watched a really small, like, sci-fi movie. For whatever reason, I was really craving a sci-fi movie. And I watched this movie called The Signal on Hulu. And it had Lawrence Fishburne. Mm-hmm. Did I remember his name correctly?
I can picture him if that's who he is.
Yeah, from the Matrix.
Matrix, yes, you got the right one.
And the girl from Bates Motel, if you know who I'm talking about, you know, I think her name is Olivia Cooke, actually. That just came back to me. But it was pretty good, actually. I liked that. I tried to take a nap while I was watching it, and I couldn't take a nap. I got it too involved in the plot and just ended up watching the rest of the movie. Nice. But the top movie that I watched, my friend Paige has been trying to get me to watch for 100 years. It's an older movie called For a Good Time Call. And it has... Have you seen this?
No, I've heard... I've seen it, like the
cover and stuff. It was such a fun, like, nostalgic movie. I don't know when it was made, so I might butcher this, but I would guess in, like, the 2000s, the early 2000s. And it's just so... It was really fun. It was the two women in it. I can't remember the one lady's name, but the other lady is Seth Rogen's wife, Lauren Miller Rogen. And I think she probably co-wrote it too. But it was just a nice, like, I don't know, comforting movie. I felt like I had watched it before, but I hadn't. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those. So that was what I watched in a nutshell. Keeping up on Handmaid's Tale. Don't want to say any more about that. Other than I like where it's going. What about you?
I already talked about last time, right? About the Haunted?
Yes.
Okay, that was last time. Okay. So maybe I didn't watch anything. I don't even know what I did last weekend.
That's fair. Oh, you know what else we watched that we just watched over the last, like, 2 days? Is this Hulu documentary called Sasquatch. And I feel like you would really like it.
Ooh, okay.
Because it's, like, true crime / cryptozoology-ish, kind of. It's good. It's like a 3-part series, pretty quick to get through. Highly recommend.
Okay, cool. I'll watch it. Yeah, the only things that I have watched is pretty heavy amount of true crime. That chapter, I'm up to date. And I got roped back in to myself. It's not like anyone was roping me. To that YouTube channel, JCS Criminal Psychology, where they break down interrogations of people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I watched so many of those. Like, my eyes were burning. I just find it so fascinating because they'll stop and they'll go, watch. Now he realizes that they have more evidence than he initially thought, and that they know he's the actual killer. Now watch his body language. Now watch how they do this. She's doing this because blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just like watching, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like watching through the whole thing. So yeah, it's a cool channel. I watched the hell out of that channel.
That sounds good. That sounds like something that I want to watch right now.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I just finished that one lady. I don't remember her name, and I don't even want to say her name because what a sicko. You know what I hate about murderers? The fact they murder, of course. But the second thing I hate about them is they're sniveling little, like, they think they're so these
clever
gods that are going to take a life, and they're so badass, and then they're arrested and they're fucking sniveling little pieces of shit. Like, either they're like acting like I'm insane, or, oh, look at me, I'm handicapped. Or this one woman who killed her boyfriend because she was a jealous psychopath, then started to say, no, he was violent, he was a pedophile, and then he's dead. You know, so, like, he can't say anything to it.
Yeah, he can't defend himself.
So when they're like, life in prison, I'm like, yes! Or there was, like, these two kids that stabbed up their whole family. And the one kid was trying to say, oh, no, it was all my brother, blah, blah, blah. And they were, like, seeking the death penalty. And I'm like, yes! They were like teenagers, but I'm not going to get in a political thing about that. They didn't do this death penalty, but they have 2 life consecutive sentences, and they should. But anyways, it's just curious because it brings you through the whole thing. You know what the cops know, and it's just cool. I'm going to shut up about it. I watched almost all of them on their channel.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to check this out. The thing is, I like to watch stuff on the TV. I can watch YouTube on the TV, I suppose, but...
Yeah, it is a YouTube channel. They don't have it.
Yeah.
It's worth it, though. They really break it down. And one of them, I mean, you might not want to watch this, but that one with that woman, that I don't remember her name. God, she's gross. But it was 2 hours long.
Okay.
Because they don't just show the full tape. They'll speed up and they add a little comedy to it, which I really like that about that chapter too. So for example, he has a very serious, the narrator has a very serious tone. And he's like, as she drones on and on about, and he talks about, and then you kind of giggle because he's like making pokes at them, but he says it in such a serious tone that you don't actually realize right away that he's doing it. So yeah, JCS Criminal Psychology.
Okay. I do feel like as you're talking about this, I'm feeling the itch to get back on a wave of true crime stuff. I haven't felt it until now, but now I'm like, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, yeah, check it out. I would love to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
That's it for me. It's just been busy with my daughter graduated high school.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I was so proud of her. And
with like honors and stuff that I don't know how to pronounce.
Honors and cum laude.
Okay.
And scholarships to her college and
hell yeah.
And I was just so proud of her. She really did it on her own. Not like we abandoned her or anything. Like if she would have asked for help, I would have given her help. And I helped her with some things, but she really just took the initiative on her own and really excelled. And I was so proud of her. So she's my first of 3 to graduate.
Ooh.
And so we really celebrated that. You should have seen me. I went to Walmart to pick up some wrapping paper, and I never buy cards because they just go in the trash and they're expensive and it's stupid.
Yep.
But it was graduation and I saw daughter and I'm like, oh, and I picked it up. I'm in Walmart reading this thing, crying. And I'm like, I need to pull my shit together. And so I took the card. I bought the card. But as I was walking through looking for other stuff and I think about the card, my lip would quiver.
Oh,
and I'm like,
no.
Felicia, you need to pull yourself together.
I'm sure that's hard, though. I'm sure it is. Like, I don't know.
It's hard. Oh, my God. But
bittersweet.
I'm proud of her, though. I'm really proud of her.
Yeah.
You know what I won't have? I know I've said this before, the empty nest syndrome, because I do also look forward to all of my children growing and up to be healthy and happy and building their own lives. And then me and Steve like doing whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
That's
whatever
exciting
that
to
looks
me.
like.
And I want to be really healthy because I want to do all that stuff, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I think it's good to look forward to that. And you know, you can have both. You can be sad about it and be excited about it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Tawny.
You're welcome.
All right. Should we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Everybody, you're here to hear us talk about A Quiet Place, 2018 post-apocalyptic horror.
Nice. You did it.
Okay.
Great job.
The director is John Krasinski. You know him as Jim Halpert from The Office and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff since then, but that was like, I think his thing, right? That put him on the map, and then he's done a bunch of stuff. But he's also directed 3 films. He directed this one, of course, A Quiet Place 2, and The Hollers.
The Hollers?
Yeah, HOLLARS. I haven't seen it. It looked like a family, just by the cover, kind of like I don't know, there was some elderly people laughing and then some other people like a family story.
Maybe a comedy.
Maybe. So those are the 3 that he's directed. The budget
By
for
the
this,
way,
yeah.
Just as a side note, A Quiet Place 2 comes out literally today. I think it came out today, so.
Yes, thank you for saying that. It did. It came out today. And God, I want to go see it.
I know. Anyway. I think we're going to try to squeeze it in this weekend, if at all humanly possible.
If I could get the family that's visiting for my daughter's graduation to babysit TT so me and Steve could go see it, that would be cool, maybe. They're all going to go see Cruella tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Can I just tell you This is a side note, and I'm derailing us before we even get into this
No,
movie.
let's do it.
I don't know why, but that movie, the trailer, fucking irks me. It does not look good to me at all. I'm like...
Cruella?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love Emma Stone. I love
Me
her.
too.
She is like one of my favorite actresses, probably. But for some reason, I cannot get on board with this trailer. I just don't like it. It looks like it's going to be way overacted. And it's probably because of the one moment where she's like, somebody asks her, like, what's your name? And she's all, Cruella. You're not going to know what I just did if you're just listening, but it was a really, like, overacted Cruella. Like, tongue lashing, jaw jutted out. Like, just way over the top. And I'm like, ew, I hate that. I don't want this.
Fail, Emma, fail.
Anyway.
I'm curious. It could go either way. I see what you're saying. And then I do like when they make these dark versions of Disney movies.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like kids can't go see it. I'm sure a lot of kids are going to go see it. But when the real people are acting, I can't even think of one. I don't even really know what I'm
like
talking
Wicked.
about. But
yeah, like you show the, like, you know, the other side of it. You take the supposed villain and you give their backstory. I think that's what they're trying to do here. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And yes. And how they developed into what they were. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those two.
But
I don't know.
I'll see what they say because I'm not going.
She also just looks like she's, I feel like, you know, we're going to have to wait another like 15 years before she looks like she's 23. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she just looks so young. Like, I just don't buy it. She looks like a fucking teenager. She looks like she's 16. Maybe she's supposed to be young in the movie. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, I think it's when she was first starting out, right? And then Cruella that we see in 101 Dalmatians is...
Right, she's...
No, because she's still... Yeah, maybe this is her first introduction into skinning animals and turning them into coats. And when we see her in 101 Dalmatians, she's an older woman who's doing it.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I should reserve my judgment until I watch it like 8 months from now when I watch it for free.
I'm going to be watching it for free too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. We'll have to keep ourselves posted 8 months from now or whatever.
Exactly.
Sorry to derail us.
No, it's a good conversation. Please leave us your thoughts on the new Cruella. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
The budget for this movie was 17 to 21 million. So there was a range. But the box office, whatever the number landed on in the budget, the box office was 340.9 million.
Wow.
So whether it was 17 or 21 million, they fucking
didn't matter.
Did a good job. Rotten Tomatoes is a 96%. What was the movie you did? The Babadook did
98.
better than this. I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
Until someone beats the Babadook. And IMDb gave it a 7.5 out of 10. The cast, I named them all because there's only a handful. John Krasinski as Lee Abbott, Emily Blunt as Evelyn Abbott, Millicent Simmons as Reagan Abbott, Noah Jupe as Marcus Abbott, Cade Woodward as Bo Abbott, the little one, and then Leon Russum as the man in the woods. All right. Before we dig in, we do the 2 minutes with Tawny, and I'm excited about it. So Tawny, take it away.
The Abbott family is surviving in a world where blind armored creatures have taken over the earth, but they can hear and attack any loud sounds. As the family scavenges in a nearby store, their youngest son wants a toy plane, but Lee, their dad, takes it away knowing it will make a sound. Their deaf daughter Reagan takes it anyway and gives it to him later. On the walk home, he turns on the toy and attracts a monster who kills him despite Lee running to try to save him. Much later, Evelyn is now about to give birth to another child, and the family still struggles with their loss and staying quiet. While Lee and Marcus are out gathering fish, Reagan leaves the house and Evelyn goes into labor and steps on a nail, causing her to drop a glass frame and attracts the attention of a nearby monster. She manages to signal to the family that something is wrong by turning on red lights on their farm. Lee sees the lights and instructs Marcus to set off fireworks to distract the creatures. Evelyn gives birth, the kids almost die in a grain silo, and Lee sacrifices himself to save them from a monster. The kids reunite with Evelyn and hide in the basement where Reagan realizes her cochlear implant has been interfering with the monsters, so she cranks it up to 10 and they shoot and kill one. This alerts the other two in the area, who come running as Evelyn pumps her shotgun like a badass. The end. That's where this movie ends.
Yes. All right, Tawny, how did you feel about this movie?
I really, really like this movie a lot. Maybe I should say that I love it. It's just great. I think it's got great acting, a great story. One of my favorite things is just how, like, slim it is. It's just, there's no extra shit going on. We've talked about this a couple times, I feel like, in the last, like, month or so. There's no extra characters, plot lines, random shit, random locations. It's just, like, the trimmest, fucking sleekest version of this movie and this story, and I really, really like that. So I really love it for all of those reasons. How did you feel? You'd seen it before, right?
Yeah, I saw it before. I didn't remember how it ended. I remembered bits and pieces of it, but I didn't remember. I remembered liking it for sure.
Yeah.
And watching it this second time, I can tell you that I fucking I loved this movie.
Yeah.
I loved it. I just want to be clear. I loved it. I loved the acting. I loved the monster. I loved the topic. I loved the way it looked. You know, I loved all the actors. I just said that. I loved how it talked about, it addressed what ifs that you think about. Like, what if, like if you had a baby or if you had a sick kid or what have you. I thought it was scary. There was just so much dread in it. I loved the way it ended. I loved it.
Me too.
I loved it. I love it more than Sinister.
More than Sinister. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Gives you kind of a hint of what I might rate
Yeah,
this
where
bad
you're going to go.
You might talk me down, though.
I don't know. Actually, like, as I'm saying that, I don't know that I have a ton of stuff that I dislike, right? Like, I don't know. There are no glaring things. I think there's, like, a couple of, like, really super nitpicky things that as I watched this.
Let's talk about them.
Okay, just right from the beginning.
Oh, should we not?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we can wait.
Okay, what were you going to say? Maybe I should let you finish your thought process.
My thought. Well, yeah, I just was saying, like, there's not a lot to be improved upon, I feel like. It's really great. I don't know much that I would make better, I guess. So I should probably shelf it in the love category for me as well. I think the only thing that is maybe the hype. You know, like, luckily I saw the movie before I think all the hype. And so I was able to really like it before all that. I think sometimes I have a tendency to, and I think we all do, like, if something gets overhyped and you go into it, you're expecting this, like, level fucking 10 thing. And this is really great. And so anyway, I'm just saying, I don't think I suffered from that. But that's one of the things is, like, people fucking love this movie. I love it too. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Those bastards loving it. I love it. That's legit. But calm the fuck down over there.
I love it, but you're not allowed to love it that much.
Yeah. Everybody else could calm the fuck down, but
I am really excited for the second one. It seems like it's getting really good feedback from what I've seen of our little horror circle on Instagram. So I'm pumped about that more than anything. But yeah, tell me your points. Like, what do you have?
This was a movie, and maybe you'll point something out that I'll be like, yeah, I guess you're right. But initially watching it and thinking about it, that I didn't dislike any part of it. I felt like all the parts fit. I felt like they all made sense. Just even starting from the beginning, like these subtle little things, like little kid running through the store, or they're all, the mom and the dad and the two kids are at the door, and then all you see are their faces, and just in their faces, this dread, and they're looking over here, and this little boy's approaching, and you're like, what is he doing? And he has that toy. that might
Yeah.
make noise. Like all of those little things, they're not saying anything. There's not one word spoken for the first 38 minutes of this movie. And there's so much emotion. There's so much emotion. I really loved it. I loved the characters, how they were all, their relationships with each other. And you understood where they were like coming from. I think the only thing, and this is not a big deal, but how fucking asinine to get pregnant. Now, you can say, well, they wanted to be intimate and maybe they did try, like, I don't know, to pull out or something. And then she got pregnant still. Yeah. Well, guess what? If I was living in that fucking world, it might be a little messy, but we're only doing it when I'm on my period. And so, you know what? You would get used to it to ensure. Because what the fuck are you going to do when, I mean, she handled going into labor real well. Like fucking mad props for her. But then you have a baby. You cannot keep a baby quiet whenever it needs to be quiet. So that was the only thing like, but I'm glad it happened because how beautifully acted. She's in labor and this monster's here. There's like not a more stressful situation than that. So it was excellent. I'll let you talk.
I think, like, as you're talking, for sure, I agree. Like, from the beginning, this movie just is, and I was thinking as I watched this now the second time, I was thinking, boy, this movie does not miss a beat. It is so, like I said, streamlined and sleek, but also just like super effective. Like everything really works. The sound, like you said, the music, sound design is fucking top notch. I love how they actually flip between the daughter's point of view audibly and everybody else's point of view. That is like one of the most, I don't know, it's one of the things that stands out the most about this movie. And I love that scene in the beginning where the little boy gets taken and she can't hear the plane, but everybody else, same thing like you're talking about, they turn around and he starts running for the little boy and she can't hear it. She doesn't know what's going on at first. And so I thought that like that was really great. I cried all throughout this movie again. I don't know. I must be just having like an emotional like few weeks or something. But like this was another one where it just kept getting me. Like I
cried through this one too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's emotional and they're really, really great actors. Not a moment does it pull you out of watching this story? You're like fully invested.
Yeah.
You buy it.
Every single one of them. Yeah.
Even that little 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So good. So good. I think the only thing, because now I'm trying to identify, like, why am I not immediately stoked on this movie? I think it's like a fantastic movie. Maybe the only thing is like, it didn't like super scare me, you know? But I love the element of a survivalist. Right, I love that shit. And we've talked about that before, I think a little bit. It's like one of my favorite parts of zombie movies is the survival aspect of it. And in this movie, you've got an entire family of like incredibly smart, like people who are thinking way the fuck ahead. They're like, what happens if there's an emergency? We'll put some fireworks out, you know, so that we can draw this thing out if we needed to. What happens when we give birth to this baby? Like, I hear what you're saying. You're like, oh, that's the dumbest fucking thing on the planet to have a baby. But you find yourself pregnant and then you go, okay, well, now what? Now what are we going to do? And they create a bunker, a soundproof bunker to be able to put the baby in this, like, and a little soundproof box with oxygen in it so that it doesn't suffocate, but they can like keep it quiet. Yeah. I loved that. I loved how they had like, you know, just plans for everything. I'm going to hit these red lights if something's wrong or there's a creature in the house. We're going to, you know, we have this truck up on the hill that if you get into trouble and you need to get in the truck and like roll down the hill, here's how you do it. There's that scene earlier for the son and he's practicing, you know, rolling the truck down the hill. And so I really, really liked all of that. I thought that was brilliant because there was just a fucking plan for everything. And I just think that appeals to me. Like I'm a planner. And so that part was really great.
That awesome. I also wrote down right here that I absolutely loved how they switched from her not being able to hear to sound and back and forth and back and forth. And really, say I was scared. Like I felt dread because I would think, gosh, what's really hard is also if you're deaf, you don't know if you're making noise.
Yeah, totally.
Like you think you're being quiet, but how do you truly know? Because like she did not hear anything.
Yeah.
And how terrifying that would be. Or if you were pregnant, or if one of your children were sick, like how her son was sick in the beginning of the movie. How about how do you test what's too loud or what's soft enough? Like maybe even just whatever you're doing in the house, how do you even test that in the beginning? Like when all of this shit started to go down, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe walking is too loud. Like it was really clever and smart too. Like it's okay when we fish and the fish gets away and it splashes because it's the sound of the river. It's the natural sound. Like there was no bullshit. There was no like, oh, well, that's fucking stupid. That doesn't make sense. They don't close any doors, open any doors. They're like really, really smart and thoughtful. And I thought, because that's one thing with the monster, that if the monster, once it's seen, is not at all scary, it ruins it. And I thought they did a really good job with this monster. I liked when it would open its nasty ear and like listen. So then you actually had the POV of the monster. Like what the monster
audibly.
heard. Yeah, audibly. What they heard, just like everybody else, what they hear. I thought that was really cool. And I thought it was scary how fast it was. It was like ruthless. There's no fighting. There's boom, there's a noise and whoosh, just takes you.
They're like that little boy in the beginning. I mean, it's like, it's literally just enough time to like turn around and run and that monster beats him there. Because even I was like rewatching it again today and Jade was kind of watching it with me and he was like, why wouldn't you just drop your kid and run? But he does pretty much. And we watched it together and he was like, I guess he does put him down pretty quick. There really was not a lot of time there for him.
Yeah.
And so it is like, and then I also was like talking shit about the sand. Like I was like, what is different? If you're walking barefoot on sand, what would be different about walking barefoot on like asphalt or whatever? It seems like it's the same level of noise. But Jade had a good point that if you had to run, it's loud. Like your actual like barefoot slapping against asphalt, that you would hear. And I was like, shit, that's a good point. Okay, you're right.
That is a good point, Jade.
I was trying to poke holes in that, and you're right. But I think that's where I get a little nitpicky, is like just some of that stuff. It does feel like what sounds are too loud, right? I'm not 100% clear on that, because some stuff seems to be okay, some stuff doesn't. It's like if they can hear a glass break from fucking who knows how far away that thing is, why can't they hear them breathing? You know?
Yeah. Unless if you think if the breathing is, like when it's in the room.
Yeah.
When they're in the room. Yeah, why can't you hear them breathing? Yeah, that's true. That's true with the breathing.
It's nitpicky. And honestly, I think this movie goes much, much further than a lot of other, like most other movies, in terms of thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't hate on it too much. And the one other thing that just before, I feel like it's easier to kind of get out of the way the things that maybe I had a problem with, because there really only are two, right? Like, it's like that kind of shit, like the little nitpicky things. And the one big thing is like, I just don't understand how this tiny little thing, like the feedback, is the thing to take this creature down, and we didn't know about it by now. That's like the one thing that I'm like, I mean, nobody in the world. There are a lot of people with like implants. Nobody figured this out by now. And you know that it has something to do with sound, right? You know these creatures have to deal with sound. I don't know. That's like the one thing that I'm like a little iffy on.
Yeah, they are out in that rural farm. I know he does have newspapers, but when were those newspapers from?
Yeah.
Was it
we don't know.
Shit start? Because, well, they're printing newspapers about it, so it's probably like right in the beginning, like, wow, this crazy shit's happening. And then there's no way they're still printing papers and delivering them and shit.
Yeah.
So that had to be old. And so now he's trying to figure it out. And it did say something on this board like sound, and it was circled, and trying to figure out exactly like what was going on.
Well, and
that was a new earpiece.
Well,
that
and
oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Let me defend myself. I mean, like, the government, like military operations, not like this family. I just mean like the world as a whole.
Maybe the military maybe they did somewhere.
Yeah, maybe you're right. We don't know, I guess. Like we do have this tiny slice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. All
because,
right.
you know, he was trying to do the radio and he wasn't getting any radio, but maybe somewhere they are.
Yeah.
Doing shit. Because you think about like Handmaid's Tale, how they seem in their part is that it's like that, and how surprised they are when they go to that convention or whatever, like seasons ago, like in the beginning, and she sees people who are like free and shit, and they're like, whoa.
Yeah, like your world expands and you start to realize, oh, there's like other shit going on. That's a really great point. We don't know. And I do like that about this movie, that it's so fucking focused. So I'm glad that we didn't go outside of that. So yeah, I mean, fucking throw it out the window. I don't know.
And her little earpiece was like 10 times the whatever he said. He used higher amplifications or whatever. So maybe it just never even interfered before, or maybe it did, but it wasn't as much. I don't know. I don't know. But I thought they did a good job with that.
God, that's the end of the things I didn't like. I mean, shit. I do kind of feel like, God, how can you like hate this movie? It's like, it's got so much to love.
It really does have so much to love. I was looking at my notes. I
mean, no disrespect if you hate it.
Oh,
you're allowed to hate it.
Major disrespect. No, of course, you're allowed to.
Fuck you.
But even I love, like what you were saying, they thought of everything. For example, they're playing Monopoly and they exchanged the pieces for those little cloth pieces, so you don't hear the
I didn't even catch
clicking
that
on the board.
I did not even catch that.
They roll the dice on the blanket. Yeah, like these little details. They have the food on the lettuce. You know, no clinking of plates or anything like that.
Shit.
See, that's pretty good.
I didn't. You know what? And I will be honest. I watched my second rewatch of this movie was very distracted and piecemeal. Like I watched 30 minutes of it like 3 days ago, 20 minutes of it earlier today, 20 minutes later, and there was like work shit going on. I went and helped my neighbor move out. You know, like it was like I wasn't very focused watching this movie, so I bet there's some shit that I could go back and really pick up on. Yeah, some really good details of things. Like they didn't miss it. They didn't miss. So first when I saw them roll the dice and I saw the Monopoly board, I'm like, wait a second. And then I saw the little cloth pieces and I'm like, oh shit. Putting that down in my notes. That's good. Can I ask you like what the hell was going on with that fucking cooking the fish in the floor situation? I was like, I have no idea what this is. I've never seen anything like this. I'm very confused. Cooking the fish in the floor? Yeah, do you remember she pulls the fish out of the floor and it's like a floor oven? It's in that same scene. Yeah, I think it's right before. You're right. I think I was staring at something else. I think I was staring at the girl. I do remember her pulling, but it didn't register where she pulled it from. Okay. I just was like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. What is it? Did this house come with it? Did they have to retrofit this for this scenario? I don't know. Because I know in like Hawaii, they put like the pigs in the sand. You know, I don't know all the details on how to do it. I'm just saying they like cook it in the ground. But why not use an oven? Does it because it clicks when you turn on the gas? Maybe. That way? Who knows? Oh, sorry, I don't have anything on that. Okay, I was just curious. No, that's a good thing. That's a good one. Know, I want to know. Okay. Do farmhouses come outfitted with floor ovens? Whatever that is. I didn't even catch that. Huh.
I can't rag on you now for not catching something because I didn't catch that.
You caught some insanely detailed shit, though.
I thought it was a really beautiful moment when it's silent and then they share that music and they dance.
Yeah.
It was just so good.
That was
and
good.
you know this, but just in case anyone doesn't know that, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt are married in real life. They have 3 daughters, I think it was. And the pictures you see around the house are actually pictures of them and their kids.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Super cute. And that John Krasinski almost turned down doing the film because he was working on that Jack Ryan show. I think that's on Netflix, if I'm correct. But he, so when he was asked to the producers if he'd be interested in doing it, he's like, I don't do horror films. But when he was presented with the premise about a family that can't make any noise, and you have to figure out why, he jumped on board. But in between that, Emily, his wife, looked at the script and was like, you have to do this, and can I please play the lead?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's a cute story. She does such a phenomenal job. I mean, so does he, and so does everybody else, but I really feel like she sort of transcends everybody else acting-wise, and it's probably because she's the one who has to deliver a baby in this movie, right? Like, she has to act like she's having a baby, and I just bought it 1000% as somebody who hasn't ever had a baby. I was like, that looks like what it would be like. I don't know.
Yes.
And I'm amazed at her ability to be so quiet. Even when she steps on that fucking nail, dude, I was like, oh my God. I mean, just kill me. Just what I'd be like, hey, hey.
She's pulling her foot out. But you know what I thought was great is she did make noise. And you would. I put that right here. That she stepped on the nail and she made noise, and you would. It's believable. Because for Christ's sake, she didn't make a whole ton of noise. Not as much as I would make, living in a world where I can make noise. But she did make noise, and you would. Because come on.
Yes.
Especially unexpected pain like that.
Yes. And you're like, I love how it happens earlier in the movie where she pulls it up by accident, you know, and you're just fucking waiting. You're like, I know that is going to come back.
No, someone's going to step on that nail. You know it because it's right in the middle.
Yes, and it happens at the worst fucking possible time ever.
It's so good. It's so good.
So good.
And that baby, it's just constant stress with that baby.
Yes.
The one thing, it's not a big deal. I actually do have one thing. I thought it was going a little too far, howling behind the waterfall.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it didn't ruin it for me. And
I agree.
I get that the waterfall muffles the sound, but why the fuck you gonna risk that? That's really loud. Because what if the thing's that way? Like, what if the thing is like right over here and you're howling and the waterfall's muffling it, but what about right fucking over here? I don't know. It was just a little too much. Let's be a little bit more quiet.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It
didn't ruin it for me. I just thought,
I mean, why put your life on the line for this? But I also get that he was trying to, because that little boy was terrified of everything. And it got to the point where it was like annoying for me. Like, I know this is unreasonable because he's just a child and he's in this world and he doesn't know how to fucking...
Saw his brother taken.
Yeah. Of course you would be traumatized. You would never want to leave the fucking house ever again, which he doesn't. And his dad is just trying to get him to, you know, acclimate. You're going to have to leave at some point. You're going to have to learn how to do some of this stuff. You know, like, it's going to be okay. So he needs him to be less scared than he is. So I get the thinking behind that. But yeah, it was like, okay, but I mean, do you have to yell? You can just get behind that water and talk to each other.
How about you just talk with your voices and, like, you don't have to howl. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Stop fucking around.
But when that little boy takes off into the, like, what is it, the cornfield or whatever, and he's making a bunch of noise, I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. I do feel like it's an accurate depiction of what a child would do, so I'm not, like, super hating on it. But it's like, if you know that these things react to sound, your best bet is just sitting the fuck down. Just sit down in a ditch and just be quiet. Just Like, cover your face, cover your mouth.
That was after he did the fireworks, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because I think he was scared because they were all going to start rushing towards that sound.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get away from it. But I do see what you're saying, because if they can be right near you, and as long as you're not making like too much noise, you could be breathing apparently, then you're okay. So yeah.
So how are you gonna run through some plants and be like clack 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 clack? Like, you know what I mean? It was making a lot of noise. It was like snapping and like
and then whack,
brushing and brushing. Yeah, I was like, okay, oh my god, stop moving. You're making me so nervous.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
But he acted like a normal little kid, so I can't hate on him too much, you know?
So I was hating on her when she was leaving. I'm like, oh, that's great. Okay.
No, I know. I was pissed about that.
Fucking just leave. That's fucking great. Your parents are going to be absolutely terrified. There's monsters everywhere. And then I told
can't hear.
You can't hear. You don't know if you're being loud or not. And then I thought, you know what, though? This is a teenager. This is a young teen. She feels guilty for what happened to her little brother, and she's probably just feeling like everyone would be better off without her. So trying to, like, you know, get myself out. And that's exactly what it ended up being, you know. I cried when he was like, I loved you. I've always loved you. Fuck, I was crying. Oh my God.
I know. And she's like, no, she realizes in that moment.
I feel like crying now. It was really good.
I know.
It was so fucking good. And I could see, because I was curious, because I knew it was a mom and dad. Like, why was this picked as a Father's Day? I should have mentioned that. So all of our movies this month are in honor of fathers.
Oh,
and A Quiet Place. I wasn't sure about it. And now I see it was like this father sacrificed his life to save his children. And even though the mom is a powerhouse herself, I could see how it was very beautiful.
Yeah. Shit, we totally skipped right over that, didn't we?
We skipped what we're doing. The whole point of watching the movie, yeah.
Yep, so we're following up Mother's Day month with some Father's Day month, although we're focusing on movies that are have fathers in them, or father, subject matter related. You know what I'm saying?
The fathers are like the lead in the show. I mean, this one, both parents, but I think that the part, him sacrificing himself with fatherly love.
Yeah. Is so strong in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say that I asked my dad, Dad, I asked you to send me movies. You didn't even text me back. So he missed the boat. And we sourced movies from all of our dads. And then we were like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck all of you. We didn't say that. We didn't say that.
It was not at all.
But we were like, I was like, Felicia, I'm not ready to do with these movies. Okay. Because, they picked some dad heavy hitters. They were some dad picks, you guys. I'm talking about The Exorcist, The Shining, Amityville Horror, okay? And I was like, listen, I don't have the time or the energy to do all of those things, like, right this moment in this month.
All of those heavy hitter classics in 1 month.
Yeah, we were like, I can't do it.
Absolutely not. But we are doing those. One. We are doing one. Should we tell them?
Tell him.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be launched on the 1st. So my husband picked The Shining, and Tawny was like, no. Not because just because it was a heavy hitter, right? And that was when we had a bunch of heavy hitters. And then she when we met again, she's like, you know what? We gotta do that. We gotta do The Shining. So we will be doing The Shining, and you can find out. This will be released, so you will have already found out because we'll post it on the 1st.
Yeah. So we are going to do that one, but for the rest of it, we didn't tell our dads to fuck off.
Oh,
we didn't.
No.
We love our dads.
But our dads also didn't care. Like,
no.
I was kind of nagging my dad for
pics.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure my dad has like a list, and it's just that he got busy or whatever. Like, my dad he loves a handful of movies that I feel like I know what he's going to send. And so we'll just have to wait and do those at a different time because they're all heavy hitters. They're all heavy movies that I just feel like, we really want to do it right. We want to dedicate a large amount of time to doing the research and bringing all we can on those really big classic movies like The Exorcist, The Shining, Alien, right? Like all of those.
Alien.
So.
Yeah.
anyway. But yeah, bringing it back.
Bringing it back to this daddy movie.
John Krasinski.
I wanted to tell you, actress Millicent Simmons is deaf, and she's been deaf since infancy due to a medication overdose.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and this is the second movie she's been. The first one was called Wonderstruck.
Okay, she looked really familiar, and I couldn't tell if I had seen her in something before this movie or if it was just this movie. But I haven't seen that.
So maybe it was just this movie.
But I feel like after this movie, she, you see her picture everywhere. So
yeah,
I don't know. She started to like show up a lot more after.
Yeah,
this.
I didn't write down what she's been in after. But I think she's in The Quiet Place too. Right?
Yeah.
The original screenplay only contained one line of voiced dialogue.
Really?
They expanded on that, obviously, but
do you know what it was?
No. I should anticipate you're going to ask me these deeper questions. Let me tell you this, because this makes me happy too, is actor-director John Krasinski has said the single greatest compliment he received regarding this film was a tweet from the master of horror himself, or the master of horror stories himself, Stephen King. And he said, "A Quiet Place is an extraordinary piece of work. Terrific acting, but the main thing is the silence and how it makes the camera's eye open wide in a way few movies manage."
That's well put.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you know what? After watching it, when I went into the kitchen to like make some lunch, I was like being quiet.
Okay.
It felt weird to make noise. Obviously, it went away. But after sitting there, like engrossed in this movie of silence, then moving into the kitchen to make noise, felt weird for a moment.
Yeah.
That's as much as me, but I loved it. Let's see. The filmmakers, this is just a weird little thing, but the filmmakers purchased 20 tons of corn and hired local farmers to grow it. It was filmed in New York. Wow. It only contains 25 lines of voiced dialogue, but that's voiced dialogue, so not including the sign language, which was real. And they had a sign language expert come and teach them sign language, and then and was on set at all times for if they made any mistakes.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And something that impressed me that you said that I didn't know until I did the research, but you knew, is that her hearing aid was what is it called? Cochlear implant. And this indicates that Reagan has a sensorineural neural hearing loss, which means her inner ear has sustained some sort of damage. And that particular implant translates vibrations in the air to nerve impulses that the brain perceives as sound. I don't know. I just like shit like that because it blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I just got that it was a cochlear implant from Wikipedia. Sometimes
Okay.
Sometimes I lean on Wikipedia a little bit to just like write my 2 minutes with Tawny, and I was like, I think I got it from there.
I love it. That's good.
I do like, just before we move on, I was going to say something about just the lack of dialogue. I can't remember actually if this made it into an episode, but I went on a whole rant one time in one of our episodes about how I absolutely love the movie Drive because it has such little dialogue. Like, I am such a fan of just squeezing out and having just minimal dialogue. And I think that's one of the other things that I love about this movie is how fucking sparse the dialogue is, but you get so much. They show you a lot, but don't tell you, right? Mm-hmm. And you get a lot from the acting, the emoting from the characters. Yeah. You just get the whole family dynamic, how people are feeling. Like, it's amazing how much like just potency there is in the facial expressions when normal movies tell you everything, right? There's a VO, or people are doing fucking, what's the word for this? Where they
monologue,
or like exposition is what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I really love John Krasinski. I think he's cool. I like him and all the stuff he does. I like his Happy News channel on YouTube. I think he's handsome. I just love him.
Yeah.
And now he's a fucking awesome director. Just fucking love him even more. So good. And I love Emily Blunt. Like, I'm glad these people procreated, these two. I'm really happy.
Is it John with a beard? John without a beard? What's your vote?
I really like that beard.
Me too.
Yeah.
Jade 3. He's on board for the beard.
Yes.
He has a beard, just in case you guys didn't know, you listeners.
Yes.
So he's a fan of the beards.
Did. Gosh, they're good.
Yeah.
This is something interesting, and I'm really glad they went the route that they did. Initially, they were going to leave the American Sign Language portions of the movie unsubtitled, believing that the audience would understand the subtext just based on, what was happening. But the first trailer does not subtitle the signing. So the first trailer, does not subtitle the signing. And that was why. That's the route they were going to go. However, while editing the sequence where Reagan argues with her father regarding her hearing aids, it was decided by filmmakers that sequence alone had to be subtitled because it wasn't coming across. Okay. And so then they did it for the entire movie, and I'm glad they did. Because I do think there's some stuff where I would be watching it and think, okay, so it's a teenage daughter and the dad are having some strife. It probably has to do with the little boy, the little brother. She probably feels guilty, but I wouldn't have gotten the full thing. And I don't think at the end when he was like, I love you, I've always loved you. I don't know. Like, I think even though actually he talks to his son and you can hear it. So maybe that would have. I just liked knowing what they were saying, me personally.
No, I think though that conversation with the son is in sign language. It's before they go back behind the waterfall. And that's the one other scene I just thought of as you were talking about it. That wouldn't have come across to me at all because they're talking about somebody who's not there, right?
Yeah.
And through the sign language. So I think it wouldn't have made complete sense. You need the subtitles there for that conversation because the little boy is saying she doesn't know that you love her, essentially. She blames herself and she thinks that you blame her too, and you need to tell her that you love her. I would have never gotten that without the subtitles.
Yeah, I'm really glad they did subtitles and went that route.
Me too. I mean, I do think that like the rest of it, maybe aside from those two scenes, the rest of it could have stood on its own, but we just needed a little help, I think.
Yeah, and it would have been odd if they just did that part and not the rest of it. That would have been off. So, totally. This is something you might find interesting, Tawny, that during filming, the crew avoided making noise to diegetic. So, okay. During filming, the crew avoided making noise so diegetic background sounds like the sound of rolling dice on a game board and things like that could be recorded, and then the sounds were amplified in post-production. Like some
interesting
production stuff I thought you might think was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never been on the set of like a big time movie, so I feel like that's always how or our crew has always operated. We're just like, you gotta shut up. You gotta be real fucking quiet, But I bet it's different on like movie sets where they know they're gonna just like Foley everything on the back end. You could probably make noise and it's not a big deal, but not in my realm. We're like, quiet on the set.
Yeah, exactly. There were portions where John Krasinski was in like a stop action suit. If I accidentally deleted my note. It's so stupid. But the reason I wanted to tell you this is because the first test screenings of the film were considered to be a disaster because the audience members were laughing hysterically at times of the movie. And so they were like, what the hell? Why is anybody laughing at any point in this movie?
Yeah.
So it turned out that the only reason audience members laughed was that the CGI for the monster was either not finished or was completely absent. And so it was leaving John Krasinski in a motion capture suit for scenes where he played the monster, and the audience were cracking up, of course. But once they had the CGI movie, it was totally a different experience.
Okay. Why would they show that to people? I mean, maybe it was like a focus group more than a
Yeah, I
don't
remember
know.
when I lived in when I was younger and I lived up there like near Hollywood, there was always people trying to get you to go see a screening of the movie. And so you could go for free, but it wasn't like a screening like it was released yet. There was parts that weren't done. And I can't remember the movies I saw, but there was one that was set in space. So when they were in the spacecraft and they were looking out the windows, it was just black. There was nothing out there because they
Yeah.
didn't put the space the universe out there
Right, out
yet.
there.
It was just like black. And so there's like these different undone things, but they want to test like how is it being received so far? Is there anything we should tweak?
Yeah, but wouldn't you think that, like, if you were putting that in front of people, you would know why it's funny? Like, I don't know.
How they didn't know that
Yeah.
that they just didn't know that.
I mean, you would watch that and you'd be like, yeah, that's fun. That part is
ridiculous.
funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
You're right. Brian Wood, by the way, Brian Wood's and Scott Beck's screenplay was named one of the 10 best scripts of the year in 2017. So, in an interview from the website /film, screenwriters Scott Beck and Brian Woods revealed that Paramount Pictures originally intended this movie to incorporate A Quiet Place into the studio's Cloverfield film franchise.
Oh.
So that's what they were planning in the beginning. And Beck said in the interview, I guess it crossed our minds and we had spoken to our representatives about that possibility. It was weird timing though, because when we were writing the script, 10 Cloverfield Lane was at Paramount. And we were actually talking to an executive about the film, and it felt from the pitch form that there might be crossover. But when we finally took the final script into Paramount, they saw it as a different movie. And so they did it as a standalone film. And they were really, really happy that they chose it to be a standalone film versus being a part of the Cloverfield franchise or any franchise. Because one of their biggest fears was that the film was, getting swept up into some kind of franchise and repurposed. And that was their biggest fear. So they're really happy that didn't go that route. And I agree.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. I think it would have been super diminished had it been a part of the Cloverfield franchise. I just think the Cloverfield movies are so hit and miss with people that it would have tainted it just on name alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Even like 10 Cloverfield Lane, it wasn't like super... I feel like from what I remember during the development, it wasn't until like it came out that people started to say, oh yes, it is linked to the Cloverfield franchise. So, but I think it was a good movie in the end. But,
yeah.
The other ones are maybe hit and miss.
Let me tell you this too. I'm sorry I'm just giving you all of these facts, but this was something I thought was
Give me the
interesting
facts, bring them.
that I never would have thought of. So, although the film was a box office success, the movie theater business was not very excited about it because never would have thought about this. Since it was so quiet, if people were eating and drinking in the movie, other people around would kind of, give them nasty looks. They were frowned upon because it was so loud because the movie was so quiet. So for that particular movie, concession stand sales were down.
Okay, interesting.
I don't think, for me personally, that this is why it blew my mind. If I went to see that movie in the movie theater, like this, if I go see this new one, I'm going to get popcorn.
Yeah, for sure.
And if people are looking at me, I'm like, we're at the fucking movie theater. Like, I don't know what's...
I'm
it's
gonna
not
be
like
quiet.
I brought in a bag of Lay's or something. I'm going to fucking eat the popcorn.
Right. I'm going to be quiet in the quiet moments, but I'm going to eat that popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take some sips of my drink. Like,
Sorry.
I don't know what you were expecting. I didn't bring my crying baby to the movie. Like,
Right.
John Krasinski said that he loved directing Emily, but said he'd rather just act with her because it was super intimidating because she's so good that he didn't want to screw it up by giving her bad directing.
Interesting. Okay.
That's nice.
That is nice. That's a whole different spectrum of concern, I feel like, as a director that I've never thought about.
Yeah. Giving them bad. Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to take this really fantastic actor and I'm going to make them look like shit because I'm going to tell them to do the wrong thing. That is a very real fear. He made this
comment. I don't have it, but like she was so good. For example, her whole scene in the bathtub, where, you know, she was pregnant and all, the baby was coming out. That whole thing was done in one shot.
Wow.
The whole thing was done in one take. And when he said cut, she just snapped out of character and was like, is anybody hungry? When's lunch getting here? It was just like blown away.
God.
Just totally blown away.
Can you imagine that being your significant other, like your person that you've been married to for I don't know how long, I don't know how long they've been married, but you're like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, exactly. The creature was actually John Krasinski. They created it. They created it towards the very end. They didn't even have it really conceptualized completely until more towards the end. But the person who did that is the industrial light and magic veteran of visual effects, Scott Farrer. And he was responsible from some memorable effects as Cocoon, I cannot talk. I'm sorry, guys. Cocoon, Backdraft, and Transformers.
Okay, it sounded familiar.
This is of a detail you're going to appreciate, Tawny. Day 473 of the invasion is on October 3rd. This means that the invasion started on June 17th, about 2 weeks before July 4th. That explains why the Abbott family has fireworks in their field.
Oh, shit. I like that. I do like that. That is some fucking forethought. Yep. I'm bumping up my score just for that.
Nice. I'm so glad I mentioned it. I looked at it and I'm like, no, she's going to like this. I'm going to mention it. Okay, there's this one last thing that I couldn't tell if it was... I couldn't tell by reading it if it was purposeful, this is why their name was Abbott, or if it was somebody drawing parallels. So let me share it with you. The family name is Abbott. Abbott, in Catholicism, is the leader of a monastery. Stay with me.
Okay.
Abbots in monasteries, like Mr. and Mrs. Abbott, lead self-sufficient communities which often support themselves through the means as farming, like the family in the film. Some monasteries are also silent monasteries, and so members will not wear shoes, will communicate infrequently with the spoken language, and pray together in silence like the family did in the film.
I don't know. That seems like almost too much of a coincidence to not be thought of.
The 4th of July fireworks was better. So let's go back to that.
No, this is a good one too, though. I just don't know anything about Catholicism or what. But I mean, I feel like like I'm saying, there's too many parallels for that to have been like, just a fucking throwaway last name.
Yeah, like what a good pick.
Yeah.
That's going with your intuition.
They're like after the fact, you're like, yeah, we did that on purpose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we definitely thought of that.
Man, this was such a fun movie. Do you have anything else? I'm trying to think. I literally enjoyed every single moment of it. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy because I didn't stop at any point and go, what? Or I didn't do that at all. I was riveted. I cried. I felt for them. I felt the anxiety of like, oh my God, when she was saying my hands were free, I should have been carrying him.
Yes, I cried then too. Yep.
That pressure of you are now responsible, we've talked about this before, for protecting these lives. These little lives are laser focused on you are going to keep them safe. And you have to promise you're going to keep them safe. Because what are you going to say? Well, I'm going to do my best.
Right.
You can't do that. You have to make these promises that you can't keep. But you're going to try to keep them, but you can't do that.
Can you imagine?
Are you going to protect me, Mom? Well, I'm going to try. But did you see those things?
Can you imagine? Listen, honey, listen. I'm going to do my best. I'm not even sure how to do laundry. I don't know how to make food or scavenge for whatever. I don't even know how to open a can that doesn't make sound. But you know what? We're gonna try. We're gonna try to do it.
What I can promise you is I am going to try. But I can't promise you
that is not very.
I'm going to be able to save your life.
It's not very confident. It doesn't instill confidence.
No. So you have to make these promises. And it's terrifying because you can do what you're going to do, which is your best, but a lot of it's out of your hands.
That is one of the things that I noticed with his character, Lee, is he is oftentimes promising the little boy, you're going to be fine. Oh, and the mom too. I think both of them tell him, you're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'll protect you. He'll protect you. Your dad will come back for you. Like, there's all these promises made. And I was like, okay, maybe that's like, one too many promises. Like, nobody really knows. And you should be teaching this child to be cautious. Now, in this context, I think the child is almost too cautious because he's so afraid to leave. He can't feed himself potentially. Like, what happens if they die?
If they die, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah.
He needs to be self-sufficient. So I get it.
But you're absolutely right. Because when they were walking home, did they the dad's done this trip many times. Did they anticipate there's going to be this old guy that, I don't know, did he kill his wife maybe? Or he looked like he murdered her or something. And he screamed. I don't know what happened, but who anticipated that was going to happen, and they did almost, the monster came. So yeah, I agree with you. I did love the little boy's response. I can't remember if the dad said you're going to be fine or if the mom did, but it was the dad. There's nothing to be scared of. And immediately the boy is like, are you fucking kidding me? And he goes, okay. Yes, there is those giant monsters. You're right.
Right, Dad? You fucking, come on.
There's nothing to be scared of. That's like fucking ludicrous. And I loved that, his reaction there.
So good.
What would you rate this movie?
Okay, so I think I'm going to go obviously this movie is like top end, super high score. Yeah. But I there's something that I just feel like I can't give it a full 5. And I think it's that it didn't scare me. I think that's like one of the things. And usually I can kind of sometimes I'll give something a 5, even if it didn't scare me, if there's something else that sort of transcends. Like I gave Hostel a 5 because I have such nostalgic ties and it's funny and it's so enjoyable to watch for me. I really love this movie, but I just don't think I can push it quite there. But it is a fucking masterpiece. I mean, like we talked about, there's nothing in it that I feel like I could change or make better in any way. And even the shit that we talked about that I had problems with, I feel like we kind of overcame them and came up with reasons why they are the way they are. So I'm going to give it a 4.75, which I have only given to 2 other movies. And those 2 other movies are Midsommar and Hostel 2.
Nice. That is an excellent score.
Yeah. And I think I liked it on that same level. So yeah.
Nice.
What about you? Tell me your score.
Okay. My score is a 5 out of 5. That's how much I loved it. I loved it. And when I was going through, I saw I gave Sinister a 4.9 and I'm like, oh yeah, I just said. And then the other thing, I said I liked it more than Sinister. I just said it. And the other ones that I gave a 5, it was really hard because Hereditary and Antichrist, they're just different experiences. But then I also had Black Christmas and some other things that I gave 5s, like you're saying, for different reasons. Yeah. You elevate them up and like them for different reasons. The one that threw me is I have to go listen to our Veronica episode. So why didn't I give that a 5? I just really loved that movie. There must have been something. You must have talked me down because you weren't as big of a fan. So you probably brought something up that talked me down only by a point, 0.1. But
yeah.
When I was watching this movie, I was at the end of this movie, didn't even give it a second thought. I said, this is a 5 out of 5. I looked at Steve. Yeah, I looked at Steve and I said, I'm giving this movie a 5. And he's like, oh, yeah, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm giving this movie a 5.
Did he watch it?
No.
Okay.
Yes. Wait. He has seen it back in the day. He didn't watch it with me the second time.
Okay. All right. Did he feel good about it?
I think, yeah, he didn't say anything like, oh, that's stupid. Or from what I remember, he liked it.
Okay.
I just loved this movie. I thought it was
great.
pretty flawless. And yeah, I feel good about that. So now I'm going to measure everything up against it.
Get ready.
Get ready.
I want to go see the second one. And I think
Me too.
From what I've heard, and I think I got this from our horror friend on Instagram, Terrified State, I think he said to go see it in theaters, which I didn't see the first one in theaters. I bought it on Amazon and or on Prime or whatever, you know, and so I just watched it at home. And this one, I'm like, it would be so good to see it in theaters, so I'm going to try.
I'm going to talk to Steve. I would like to see it in theaters too. It says something in the trailer. This is what movie theaters were made for. Really? Okay. Yeah, it says something along those lines of like, this is what the big screen was made for, this type of a movie. Not wrong. I'm a little nervous because I don't want it to suck because I love it so much. But yeah, maybe we should see it in the theater. Yeah. I'm going to see. Yeah. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try. Give it a go. You know that, I've watched that chapter way too much. That the guy, I think he's Scottish. He says, give it a go. The way he pronounces stuff. And I literally just said that. When I'm picking up the way other people are talking, that's usually people in your life that you pick that up with, that you are spending a lot of time around. I need to slow my roll. I need to take a step back and relax a little bit. But yeah, what movie are we watching next? So next up is Little Evil, my pick. Yes, on Netflix with, what's that fucking guy's name? That guy's great. From Parks and Rec. Krampus. Yes, he's great. Adam something? Adam Scott. Adam Scott. So that'll be guy. Fun. That'll be a nice little... Yeah. I've never heard of it. And I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh, this looks funny. And my husband's going to like this. This looks like right up his alley. It's the same people who made, or same guy, I think, who directed Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So I want to watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil again. It is so good. So much fun. Wow. So good. Anyway, but I think you'll really like this. I'm excited. I hope everyone likes it. We're going to be watching Little Evil next. Yes. And yeah. Hey, check us out. We are on Instagram, as you know. We are on Instagram. That's our main hub. You can find us on pretty much all the social media platforms at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick. Except for Twitter, as you all know, it's 2 Chicks HF. Yes, that's correct. And yeah, what else? You can support the show on Patreon. We also have a Discord server where we want to chat about all things horror. And there's a free tier over on that Discord server too, so join us there. And also, if you like the show, please consider giving us a rating and review and subscribe on wherever you're listening to us, whichever pod catcher you're listening to us on. And that's it. We are so excited to see you next week for our next Father's Day month pick, and for the rest of June. Father's Day picks. Let's want to make that clear. Yes. We didn't do it in the beginning. So we hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.